What up, traders? What up, investors? Ken here from the Dyslexic Investor, and thank you for tuning in for another fantastic video. Today, we're going to be looking at the Wall Street Bets hype train, the pump and dump, whatever you want to call it, of PLTR with Palantir. This is a stock that has been completely blowing up, exploding the Wall Street Bets overall page. Every single post you just go down is just boom, 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 PLTR, 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 GameStop, PLTR, 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 GameStop, PLTR, PLTR, GameStop. That's basically the three stocks or two stocks. The other one is basically sometimes maybe like a pharmaceutical play, normally playing some kind of vaccine play like Moderna or something like that. But that being said, alongside of that, we're going to be jumping in and looking at some of the posts and just giving our prayers, our thoughts, our sorry this happened to you kind of scenario. So kind of playing through the overall understanding of an explosive stock like this and just having too many people on one side of the tunnel, basically. Or I don't know why I said tunnel, it makes no sense. I was thinking of like a teeter-totter. When you have too many people on one side, the other side just doesn't give out, and usually what happens with that, it just crashes it. And we did really see that come to play, and sadly I have to give a little shout out to Citron because they saw the formula. Like, I don't think they give a rat's butt about the understanding of PLTR going up, down, left, or right. They just saw, you know what? There's too many people who don't know what they're doing, and they're just following blindly into buying PLTR stock. PLTR company, I think, is a great company, but the way it ran up, it ran up really too much too fast. Of course, that hype train, we're seeing this again Monday day quarterbacking here, being again Vision's 2020 after the fact. Really just seeing here, happens all the time, but being able to see the parameters around it and seeing like, hey, maybe we should pump the brakes here. I would love for this to go to 50. Don't get me wrong. I would love to see it to go to 100, but a pullback and corrections are always somewhat natural. You see these cycles all throughout nature. You see yards being burnt, grassy knolls being burnt. Grassy knolls. What am I, like JFK assassination? I'm sorry. Full disclosure, I had like 4 cups of coffee today, and that's double what than I normally have. Kind of just been get a little jittery here with the coffee and a little bit too much caffeine, but let's go ahead and just jump into the main stuff here and look at the Wall Street Bets post. So you can see here, we're just be kind of going through, mostly it's going to be a lot of lost stuff of people. Again, this individual, God bless him, Godspeed with him, has an average cost of $28.13 for PLTR. Total return today is down to 31,000. Total return loss so far is around 22. Let's call it 23% because we're all friends here, and nearly a $50,000 loss on $170,000. So that's not crazy bad. He didn't buy it at $33.50 at the all-time high. That being said, I'm not sure what his overall line or his trade or his investment philosophy is there. Another one here, we have note to self, no more ripping stocks on Thanksgiving. This is what happens. People on Thanksgiving, they get together, even with the virus going on, they still share trade ideas. And hey, look at my Robinhood account, Mom. Look at my Robinhood out, Uncle Joe. I made $10,000 yesterday just buying on this stock. Of course, the basic human emotion attached to money is greed, and greed really takes over people's minds. Again, I'm human too. I get greedy a lot, but you got to take those 2 steps back and be like, hold up, what's going on here? Am I getting greedy here? That being said, this is what happened here. Poor old mom is down 20K for PLTR as well. Then we have another person here, which is kind of looking at the overall trend. So we're going to be jumping into this as well and looking at the charts. So we're going to be looking at the charts via Thinkorswim and looking at this is somewhat of a normal pullback, which is basically hinting here the overall trend. Again, we saw that really kind of ramp up and just explode with a completely a rocket ship here, and really just now it's kind of coming back down, back into somewhat of its normal path. And then we have another person here, another loss, huge loss here. And I'm not laughing because I just feel bad for this individual. Like, he just had put all his cash, all his money into one particular stock, like the other person being not really diversifying. And of course, Robinhood and other platforms give you a very strict way of looking at it and analyzing and giving you a percentage basically on what your portfolio is invested in it. This one, just Godspeed with you. And this one, he's down substantially as well with calls, even though you see these, he has stock, but then also has the $33 calls that are expiring the 18th. That is not a good look right there. Those are basically going to be basically printing to zero. Not very, again, another, it's just like the total cost of $26,000. He's down nearly 10K now. So he's not half, but like 40-ish%, but just still, like, this is what I'm fearful of. Like, I love to have people investing, getting into stocks, trading options and things like that. But when you see things like this, again, we got the low battery marker on this guy. This guy just got a full battery marker, but anyways, this one's not on a phone. Low battery marker here as well. And it looks like he was just using TikTok, so we can go back to TikToking and getting his financial news from TikTok, and rather just being a little bit more independent. Anyways, that being said, stop more criticizing these folks, Ken. Stop being mean. Jumping into PLTR. Okay, now we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of things and trying to understand of WTF, what is going on here, what should we do, some potential resistance, overhead resistance, all kinds of things we can be looking at to look at PLTR. Okay, so kind of doing this again. There's a lot of lines on here which we're going to just kind of get away real fast. You see my initial mark here at $9.06. That's basically the amount that I got in before this. Like, I got in opening day on this stock. Like, not trying to flex there, but looking at the potential upside that we saw. Even though I was like, holy moly guacamole, this has gone up a little too much too fast. Again, this stock is IPO'd. It's just insane. The end of September. Okay, the company, a little bit different aspect of things. We don't have to go into the company's bio and everything, but looking here at the chart, it was basically trading next to nothing around the $9 to $10 range for quite some time. Then the folks at Wallstreetbets said, hey, this looks like an interesting stock. And of course, it's cheap. It's got earnings. Let's give it a good old pumpy dumpy. Not initially, but all great things do come to an end, and that is mostly factual, especially in the stock market. Things cannot be inflated at these levels for extended periods of times. Since this stock is fairly new, there's not going to be too much of the data down here below with the squeeze or RSI, or really give you an accurate reading on the volumes on oscillators. So we don't have to don't pay attention to these things down below here. Just really look at the movement here. Again, then we're looking here at a daily chart. We're seeing this really rip higher. It was trading between that 5 and 8 moving averages. Again, we use those initial moving averages to identify high momentum growth stocks. Again, if their ticks are in between those zones or even above it, like this case, it is a very aggressive, very fast moving stock. To be able to stay at those levels for extended periods of times of a week or two is astonishing. That is very, not rare, but not it was rare 3 years ago, but it's very common in this current market now, with all the other EV markets and other stocks that have been exploding, especially in the SPAC side of things. We're seeing that kind of just trade sideways here, trade sideways in between those moving averages, never actually ever coming back down to the parabolic SCR dots. You really can't see those. Let's do a little bit of an enhancing here. You can kind of see those little purple dots here. Again, that kind of shows some potential resistance to the downside, normally lines up with some kind of moving average. averages. So this one lines up with the 8 EMA. It didn't even touch the 8 EMA. We saw, again, some overbought readings basically starting out the day before Thanksgiving. Again, that exhausted for another nearly 4 days of trading before it hit an all-time high and then gave it right all back. Very sad. Like, I feel really terrible for the folks who bought up here thinking it was going to go to 50 in the next 2 days. Like, I'm not saying it can't go to 50 in the next 2 days. I'm just saying the expectation of the folks who are buying up here, the FOMO, the fear of missing out, just the completely utter let's go to the moon kind of scenario is something that is a little bit needs to be fine-tuned with some folks. Coming at these levels here. So like, hey, Ken, stop belittling little the little investors and the folks on Wallstreetbets. I'm not trying to do that here. I'm just trying to give a complete picture on. I'm not saying I told you so, not at all. So full disclosure, I was in PLTR. I'm still in PLTR. Those are my longer shares. Like, I wanted to sell at those levels, but the thing is, like, then what price am I going to get back in? Like, what price am I going to, like, once you sell, like, it's very hard to kind of get back into a stock, especially when you had a longer term horizon on it. So with that being said, let me silence my phone because those people can go F themselves. Oh my God. I'm being really rude. I really do apologize. The coffee gets into my veins and I speak sometimes inappropriately, so I apologize for that. With that being said, looking here, let's go back to bringing those Fibonacci retracements up. So we initially, on this way up, on different live streams and so forth, we talked about potentially looking for $20. It hit $20 and bursted right through that. Then we're looking for some resistance around 26. Then we looked at $36 to the upside. It kind of hit in between those levels. Again, no one could have predicted exactly what the top is. If anyone could predict the top, they would be a multi-trillionaire. With that movement and using those Fibonacci retracements, we were initially talking for some initial resistance coming down to around the $26 level, which we saw for 2 days here. So we saw that level, we kind of saw it hit the very first day here, and then we saw the second day go in here as well, really kind of ripping to the downside here. But ended up the day above that Fibonacci number. Then the following day, we finally closed below that, which kind of was a starting sign of giving away, but it still stayed above the 8 EMA. Then, of course, the follow-through day, the nail in the coffin, or whatever you want to call it, really just kind of took it down, breaking past that 8 EMA, closing below it, closing below the parabolic SER dot, and now looking for potentially a level here around $19 to $21. I know that's a very wide range for potential support. Again, why I say potential is like anything can happen in this market. Anything could bring it up, down, left, or right, or make it do circles. I think most people understand that, but some people don't, especially the Wallstreetbets gamblers. Initially looking for that fib level to kind of come out. We could also be waiting for the 21 EMA. So if you're not familiar, we basically use a 21 and 34 EMA to kind of help us show the trend. If we go back to that Wallstreetbets post, the guy was showing the trend lines, which I'm not really a big fan of. Basically, the moving averages kind of help you do that. So we're looking for some lower support around 19. This can come all the way back down to even 17, okay? It can come back down to $17, and the trend will still be in an upward movement. If we kind of break this down into a smaller time frame chart, let's just go into like a 4-hour chart. It kind of gives you somewhat of a better look at things. Let me actually break it down to like a 1-hour chart. You can see that huge run up, and then that explosion on the 23rd, the Thanksgiving holiday week, which was kind of short. It just literally just took off from that Fibonacci level because we saw it hit basically once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, nearly around that 1950 level. Finally broke out that Monday with the pump and dump of Wallstreetbets, basically really just ripping it higher, of course, then hitting it, selling off in the coming days and really looking for some initial support around that 19 initially to if it does come down. So overhead resistance we're going to be potentially looking at, as you can see here, even on the 1 hour chart, which I normally don't dive into, but it really kind of gives you an understanding of what potentially we could see happening. If we can get past this 8 EMA here, which is the little purple line here on the hourly chart, potentially even looking at a 4 hour chart, which is a little bit more relevant to me, because we just had the 8 cross through the 21, which is, sorry, this is the 34 actually, cross through the 34 EMA. Now we're looking for potential consolidation, maybe a little sigh of relief, like maybe is the pain over? Is the bleeding over? Again, we're seeing a little bit of the squeeze still showing red. We're seeing some other signs of, again, things kind of coming down to normal levels. Of course, Citron saying it's going to go to $20 by the end of the year. You can kind of rack this up as being in that range. That being said, be very, very careful out there, folks, and please, please be careful. And please don't YOLO your whole account, your whole life savings on things like this. But that being said, before I let you go, we have a live stream tonight at 9 o'clock. Hope to see you out there. And don't forget to like and subscribe on your way out the door. And again, this is Ken from the Dyslexic Investor, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Peace!